Large crowds of people on Wednesday broke into a United Nations aid warehouse in Gaza, the Palestinian enclave now on the brink of famine. The World Food Program said initial reports were that 2 people had died and several more were injured. Eyewitness video independently verified by Reuters showed crowds pushing into the warehouse in the central city of Deir al-Balah and removing items as gunfire rings out. It was not immediately clear how the deaths and injuries had occurred. The war in Gaza was triggered after Hamas-led Islamist militants stormed Israeli communities in October 2023, killing about 1,200 people, according to Israeli tallies. Since then, Israel's military campaign has killed more than 53,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza health authorities, and displaced nearly all residents from their homes. Under mounting international pressure, Israel lifted a months-long aid blockade on Gaza on May 19th. Since then, it has allowed a limited number of relief to be delivered either through the United Nations or the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, which began deliveries this week. However, Israel ultimately wants the UN to work through the GHF, which is using private U.S. security and logistics companies to transport aid into Gaza for distribution by civilian teams at so-called secure distribution sites, like the one that was broken into on Wednesday. Aid officials say families at these sites will be screened for involvement with Hamas militants, potentially using facial recognition or biometric technology. The UN and other international aid groups have refused to work with the GHF. They say the private company's aid distribution plans are insufficient for reaching Gazans, and that the scheme is not neutral. On Wednesday, the senior UN aid official for the occupied Palestinian territories, Jonathan Whitall, described the GHF plan as, quote, surveillance-based rationing that legitimizes a policy of deprivation by design. Slovenia's UN ambassador said on Wednesday that some members of the 15-member Security Council are working on a draft resolution to demand unimpeded aid access. Meanwhile, the UN ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, told Reuters it was, quote, sad and disgusting that the UN and other groups would not work with the GHF. He described the foundation's aid distribution as, quote, effective so far. The GHF says that across 2 sites currently open, it has so far given out the equivalent of nearly 850,000 meals. The foundation said it is working to open 4 sites and expand further in Gaza in the weeks ahead.